But what happened in Kawempe is unfortunate, to say the least. It should not happen. So prevention is better than a cure. But it should not be me to tell you to buy flak jackets to anticipate that you are going to be harmed. Because it's my job to ensure you are protected.
And maybe a small brief on the National Association of Broadcasters. It has been here for over 19 years. It brings together people in the broadcasting space. It includes RUBA, which is Rural Broadcasters Association. It includes the Uganda Media Owners Association, and it includes the online media, as well as the TVs and the radios. We have a relationship with the Editors Guild, which brings together the people who edit the news across the country. So we have a relationship with them as well. We were, of course, particularly concerned about the issues that the way our journalists were handled. I would say it's handled in Kawempe. It looked not like an isolated incident. It looked well planned. From the look of things, it appeared to have been some particular people were profiled, and manhandled, equipment destroyed, and some were arrested, entered those drones that they talk about. And when we asked afterwards, everybody seemed to disown. We asked from the police, they said those are not our people. We asked, one of your ministers went to Parliament and said, no, we don't know those people. And then the next day somebody said, these are our people, they were security forces doing this. Anyway, from all that happened, set a very bad trend. Often we are choosing of painting a bad picture of what Uganda is. And sometimes you say, okay, what picture then do we want to actually show? Because what we show is essentially what is happening. We know that when we beat up people, especially journalists, we cannot expect a better picture on the TVs and on the other media that we see. So it's quite surprising that we try to blame the mirror for what it is showing us, and that's what the media is. So why we sought to meet you was we tried to go to police and tried to go to the Ministry of ICT, and it's very clear that really the police and the people who really run these elections are really under your control. So essentially we are going everywhere else apart from where we should have gone in the first place. So that's why we have chosen to come here. Our hope is that we can work on a way forward that seeks to, one, make amends of what happened in Kawempe by identifying what we think were errant officers that did the damage, identify them and bring them to book. If it is possible, either in a way of compensation or whichever we find fit, find a way to resolve those, make amends to the people that were actually, our journalists that were actually harassed. And as a way of moving forward, we agree, and it has happened before, where they organized the joint security team. In the last election in 2021, we met in Mbuya and agreed on a way forward in a border separation, where we agreed on this is how we are going to conduct ourselves in situations of elections. We make sure people are well dressed, are well identifiable as journalists. We make sure they have protective gear in those situations. How do they conduct themselves? How do we handle situations when the situation quickly escalates? And then we had agreed that when journalists are well clearly identifiable, then the officers that are in that theater at that moment really allow them to do their work and protect them. And we had a way in which information was being exchanged, where, for example, you knew that there was something that would endanger our national security, who would be informed through. We had a small committee that involved the security, that involved one of us, that involved the police. So they had a small committee where information would be passed down on us. Where would, for example, say there's going to be a riot tomorrow, and we don't want that riot to be maybe aired live because we think it can easily turn too violent. And we would agree and find a way to manage and say, okay, we'll keep it then for the news. Or we'll agree that this is how the situation is, let's handle it this way. And we then agree, and then there was little to no conflict thereafter. So we would think we can be able to either host that kind of meeting where everybody that is involved, either Electoral Commission, UCC, the police, maybe the army, and maybe the intelligence people can then agree and say, this is how we're going to operate, so that when you keep to the rules that we have agreed, then everybody should be safe within that environment. And it easily escalates. When it gets violent, nobody is really safe. Because you can be a policeman and you say, yes, I'm going to take your camera, but you don't know who can be able to throw a stone on you. So the best thing is for us to agree now in beforehand on a way we can be able to play. There was also proposals, 2 other proposals. One was for the training, and at least where it is known from the central command that of the security that the media and the journalists are not actually enemies. They are not. They are simply coming to do a job, and therefore they should not be treated as such. So it is a well-known fact. And even us, because now the allegation was some of us have become activists, so that we know that every side is understands what their role is in all this. Then, so that there is a bit of training and direct information, maybe etc. I don't know. The people who are handling this election security to ensure that that journalists are safe while they are doing this. And then there was a bit of protective gear, because previously journalists would just simply put on a jacket like his, and that was sufficient. But when it gets violent, that jacket is not very useful. When we get people from abroad coming here, you see them with helmets, you see them with flak jackets that can be able to take in ballistics. So we think media houses should be allowed to be able to procure those. Maybe from the NEC, if NEC can be able to provide them, and the media houses can be able to buy them, so they are well prepared for that kind of situation. And maybe lastly, to create channels in which we can, maybe not very regularly, but often meet to be able to address any concerns, so that when there are concerns, then they don't end up being handled with the stick. We would rather can be able to come in and say, this is not right, how can we address it? And we will end up the colleagues has anything to add, and then we can pass it on.
Okay. Thank you, General Otafiire. Just to quickly add on to what our chair has reiterated, I think the main thinking from us is that we do believe that the media can be a very instrumental partner. We have a strong treated like combatants. The gentleman you see on the camera is not able to walk straight. He's walking with a limp, and there's a very big possibility that that limp might be permanent for the rest of his life. His only crime was that he didn't do anything outside of that. When you think about, again, you yourself have fought wars, so you understand matters of war very well. And our concern is that if the fourth estate and the media gets treated as a combatant, there can be no winners. You just talked about your grievances with state-owned media propagating lies. I think, and we would want to suggest from where we are, that if there is good cooperation between the fourth estate and the government, we can be able to help this country grow together. And we want to request that we are treated as allies and engaged as allies and not as combatants, and that there is a sign of good faith from the government and from the Ministry, in particular of Internal Affairs, which oversees the internal security for the country, to ensure that people like Mr. Kitimbo and our other journalists who were unfortunate to fall foul of some of, as my chair has said, what we want to believe were errant officers, for you to be able to clearly show that this is not the way you do things, and to reassure not just our fraternity but the country that Uganda is better than this. We are hoping we can be able to find some middle ground, and as he said, that for us to be able to coordinate effectively, especially as we go into what's a very sensitive time for us as a country. And we believe that if we do that well, then we can be able to avoid the sort of things we've seen happening, not just on this continent, but elsewhere, where things can escalate very quickly. And we have, we believe, the platforms to help mitigate against all of those, but not if we are being caned like chicken thieves by simply holding cameras. Thank you.
What happened in Kawempe, unfortunately I was not in the country. I just came in as these events were taking place. I'd gone to Zimbabwe I had a meeting with the Global Pan-African Movement Governing Council. But what happened in Kawempe is unfortunate, to say the least. It should not happen. You know that, frankly speaking, the last NRM MP of Kawempe who have had was the late Med Kagwa. We've not had any other NRM MP voted by the people of Kawempe. So anybody with a slight iota of common sense would know that Kawempe, we are going into a contest where we are the underdog. The best way to change that situation is to persuade the people, not to beat them. You know, in Unyangore, we have a saying that, we are mixing millet and you won't eat. And now you say, I'm not hungry. So, in Kawempe, we should have been persuading people, not alienating them. Well, it's unfortunate. I'm in charge of the police. I'm responsible for the police. I'm not responsible for the activities of these other fellows. Maybe you address it will address your grievances with the one who says he or she is responsible for those people. Because there were groups of people, not the army, not the police, not intelligence, groups of people who we don't understand. And I've asked the Inspector General of Police to give me a report to tell us who are they and what were they doing in the elections, because they have no legal mandate to be there. I want to know whether the police was overwhelmed and had to ask for the assistance of the army. And if they asked for the assistance of the army, why didn't the army come? Why were these people who nobody wants to own? What were they doing there? Because if we don't regulate this, then we are going to become a country of lawlessness. if we tolerate this, we shall become a country of lawlessness. And that's where we were 50 years ago. Those of you who are of my age know how lawless this country was. Because when we started fighting against Idi Amin, I was in my second year at the university. And it doesn't involve a second year student risking his or her life, to fight a bad government, is a result of a situation that is intolerable. If we promote lawlessness, then we shall get there. And the fact that we are able to fight a government and overthrow it when we had nothing does not mean that somebody else cannot think about the same thing. The Baganda have a saying that where you raise bulls, you don't raise only one. The other bulls can raise. And I pray that such a situation should not arise in my lifetime. I want to go away quietly and only cause problems for those who will bear my weight in the casket. And I want my children and the children of my children to enjoy the fruits of our labor, to live in a peaceful, law-abiding environment that offers opportunity to everybody to progress, to make the best of their ability. So beating journalists does not, for us we conduct wars. Then during a war you say, I'm going to do this, what is the end state? What is the end state of my campaign? Or this campaign or this battle, what is the end state? What to achieve? Now can you tell me what beating journalists achieves? Other than a bad name. And beating the journalists should be the worst thing you want to avoid, because the journalists are looking for that, for what makes the news, and you beat them. The journalists are looking for a man biting a dog. Not a dog biting a man, no. They are actually looking for a man biting a dog. And you present them with the opportunity, it's very unfortunate, and it should not happen. These people don't have money to pay for the water. So it's good you've come to us. I'm going to talk to my colleagues who are responsible for security. I'm going to call my colleagues who are responsible for security agencies, and we are going to ensure that this unfortunate incident does not arise again. This kind of situation does not arise again, where we are on the world stage beating journalists. Of course, there are other people who shoot them, but but those are not us. Those are not us. Journalists reporting on the conduct of elections is not a crime. That's their job. That's their job. It's not against the law. So what is not prohibited by law is allowed. There's occasionally I call them rumor sometimes some of the journalists, especially the ones of New Vision. They write certain things which are not present. Sometimes they skew information. But I hope it's not your editorial policy. it's not your electoral policy to sterilize it's a good idea that we should work together and harmonize our conduct of public affairs. Like I told you, I said we are where we are with the express permission of the electorate. And when we are conducting the affairs, we have to live up to their expectations. And when we are conducting public elections, we have to live up to be transparent, to be free, to be fair. Because we spend a lot of taxpayers' money conducting elections. You know? So it's the elections that regulate the temperature of the country and the change leadership. When you lose elections, just lose. You go, you complain and go away. I've lost before. I've gone to elections and I've lost. And I've looked at human beings making mistakes. And afterwards they come to me and say, oh, no. Sorry. We need to know dog milk is not undrinkable. And they bring you back. Now I'm now sitting interviews once again, say, have I done well? If the answer is the affirmative, I'll come back. If they say go home, I have better things to do than spending my time negotiating with the people who have not gone to school, unfortunately. You know, these people you find in the village. Yeah? Say, Otafiire, are you serious? I said, but you man, you have no trousers. You have no trousers. You have not cleaned your teeth. You've done nothing for us. What have you done for yourself? But that's it. That's their democratic right. Whether they have trousers or don't have trousers, for as long as they are on the register to vote, they will decide your fate as a leader, and that's democracy. They should be allowed to make mistakes or to vote for correctly. Sometimes you look at some of the people who are put in office and you say, couldn't get somebody better? So sometimes you find somebody who's been voted out of office, you say, these people don't know what they are losing. But that's their democratic and constitutional right. That's their democratic and constitutional right. And when you people, the rumormongers, are picking this information and telling us, that's also your right. Yeah. And nobody should force a journalist to believe the way they believe. Because if you write a bad story about me, it's my job to go to another media house and say, this man is a liar. This man is a liar. The truth is this. Like when you go to court and you lose a case, you don't fight with the judge, you appeal. You don't fight with the judge, you appeal. Because, or when you lose elections and you think it's unfair, it's been unfair, you go to court. You appeal to the electoral commission. When you are not satisfied, you go to court. Yeah. And when the court of first instance doesn't agree with you, you appeal your matter. You know. So the conduct of election should not be a battleground. Election should not be a battleground. Because elections is decision making. And you can't force me to decide the way you want. So if all of us could conceptualize the fact that elections is decision making by the population over their leadership, then we would be very well off. Allow the people to make a mistake if they're going to make a mistake. But you, who is participating in elections, do your level best to convince these people that you are the best. Like the other time, the people in my constituency said, "You man, are you serious?" I went away. Where I left the pipes, they are still there. The electrical wires are still, the roads are left, the bridges are left not broken, are still broken. So I've had to repair them when I went back. They said, Kumbe, this man we thought was useless. He's very useful. Now they said, come back and finish there. And now I have an opportunity to say, didn't I tell you? You thought you were clever. You know. So once we all agree that the election should be a free, fair, transparent activity, then you don't need flag jackets. It should not be me, the Minister of Internal Affairs, telling you to buy flag jackets, because it's my job to make sure you don't need them. But since I don't control the events, you know, there could be other human beings who think otherwise. You can buy flag jackets. Prevention is better than cure. Because in campaigns, especially in campaigns, there are those who throw stones, there are those who get drunk, there are those who smoke marijuana, there are errant officers, like you said. So prevention is better than a cure. But it should not be me to tell you to buy flak jackets to anticipate that you are going to be harmed. Because it's my job to ensure you are protected. You know. But then one day we were at court, and this prison officer reprimanded a criminal. Said, "You fellows, you are causing us problems. You don't listen." You know. And this man looked at him and said, "Look at this one. Without us, you, the police, and the magistrate, would you have a job?" Meaning that it's essential for you to be employed. So, since we have lawbreakers, it's good for you to take preventive measures. I would encourage the media houses to buy protective gear for the field officers.
The problem is accessing them.
No, we shall help you. We shall help. I will talk to Mujera to see whether we can manufacture them here. It's your right to protect yourselves. Yeah, we shall help.
Now, John, Nyami Abroad, I'm a Pan-African. I know you speak the truth. And now, you have told us you're going to speak to your colleagues to ensure that we don't get this occurred. Okay. This same thing happened sometime back, a few years ago, and it reoccurred. And
a few years ago, as the Minister of Internal Affairs, as you know.
Okay, that's one. But number two, General, the very point you have mentioned that you're going to talk to your colleagues, some of your colleagues that you're going to talk to already denied that they do know these people. These people are coming alongside with their very sector people that you manage. They are coming alongside them. You have also said that you don't know them and you manage police. So these people come with police, you don't know them. So now,
no, you see, you are defeating your own question. I said I'm going to talk to my colleagues. I'm going to persuade them that what you are doing is a mistake. So, what are you asking? I'm going to talk to my colleagues and say, what you are doing is unpleasant. It's a mistake. Let's see how to do it, properly. Because you see, we have to enforce law and order. Yes, you see, we have to enforce law and order. How we do it is what we are going to discuss. The police should be there, and the army should only be invited by the police when the police is overwhelmed. That's what the law says. Then the other security agencies, the covert security agencies, will be there. So how do we harmonize to be able to detect possible breaches of public law and order? We need intelligence. It's should be the intelligence to tell the police that there is likely to be a breach of law and order here, so that we buttress security in that area, you know. And if the police is overwhelmed and there is a possibility of violent confrontation, then we invite the armed forces, the army. But the army should be the last resort. Yeah. But and in the situation of Kawempe, I didn't see any need for the army, because we had enough police officers.
It was one area.
Yeah, it was one area. Even if they had wanted 10 policemen per polling station, we had them. So there were 190 polling stations. It needed 1,900 police officers, and they were available. That is 10, and 10 is overkill. You know, so there was no need. I think these are mistakes we make, and we shall learn as we go along. I hope it won't be repeated. You know, but I've said prevention is better than cure, because it's not only the armed forces that could hurt you. I told you there are people who come drunk. There are these fellows who smoke marijuana. Can I expect that this man who has smoked marijuana will not throw a stone at your head? Or he will not come with a stick and hit you? You know, especially when there is this confrontation between the parties. From Nupu meets with NRM, or Nupu meets with the DP, and they start a fight. And your poor journalists with your camera, they don't care who you are, they'll beat you up. So don't protect yourself from the armed forces, from the security agencies, but even from the electorate themselves. Have they fought? Have they fought before? Have they injured each other before? So if you are caught in that video, what happens? You are beaten. It's my job to protect you. Make sure you're not beaten. But in case I'm inadequate, it's unfortunate that you are driving home and so prevention is better than cure. I would encourage you to do it, to buy this. Not that I'm predicting, I'm a prophet of doom. We are going to do our level best to ensure the elections are as peaceful as possible.
Thank you. There's an issue of I really appreciate the commitment and reassurance to the media of smooth operations. One of the things that Chairman had mentioned was a joint working committee.
That's what I wanted to tweet. I've said it's good we should have a committee to work together. I'm going to talk to my colleagues, and after that we shall select a joint team to work with the media council. The media council, National Association. Yeah, we shall work with the National Association of Journalists. Broadcasters of journalists. But we're all the same, anyway. there is this Munyankore who went to court, and he was going to sue his neighbor, and his neighbor happened to be from Rwanda. So he said, I've come to sue this neighbor of mine. He said, your neighbor says, who's your neighbor? He says, this man, Chijeri. He said, but your name is Kamari. He said, well, it's Kamaru Chijeri. They are all from Rwanda.
So, the other issue which Chairman alluded to was we had journalists who were beaten. There was an issue of them being compensated.
No, that one you address it with the Attorney General.
Okay.
Compensation against the euro. You address it with the Attorney General.
What about the issue of the perpetrators of that?
That is internal to ourselves. That's an internal arrangement to ourselves. That's why I said I'm going to talk to my colleagues. There is work happening behind the scenes. But I can assure you that this thing will not happen again.
General, if I may, after the incident, the police invited the over and to go and record statements and say. But since then, you might say it is too soon. When you admitted you had your report to your father, you want to see that
No, I said you have recourse to compensation. If you record the statement and you say you're beaten and you prove you have recourse to compensation, and you address that with the Attorney General.
Well, I'm asking about the police direction, because police called people to go and record statements. We did with the Afane Odong, I think he's the deputy CID director. But after that, nobody has been taken to court, right? And the people who are beating...
You are recording the statements as criminals or reporting
as complainants.
as complainants? No, shall I talk to Dog and say, well, how far have you gone?
Because we have not seen that nobody has been brought to court.
Which I will talk to Dog and see how far they've gone.
Honorable Minister, in light of that same direction, as the legal counsel for now, the position has been that in light of the same Attorney General organization, we take this matter to court so that the record is clear, and if there's a question of compensation and settlement, there's a legal process that duly gives the remedies that the victims are entitled to. These engagements notwithstanding, will that be far-fetched for us in your wisdom?
My friend, anybody who is injured or whose rights have been abused has got a right to reparation. I'm not the law. That's what the law is about. Yes. That's why I said address it with the Attorney General. He's the one who knows the consequences of the activities. He carries vicarious liability for our actions, as you know. So, I'm not the one telling you go and sue him. No, I say I'm telling you go and address it with the Attorney General because you can settle out of court. You can sue him. You can settle out of court. But I would be very glad. I would be very happy to see this matter settled and the victims of this unnecessary violence, compensated. I mean, not compensation. What would you call it? For a lack for a better word, I would want them their rights redressed. And their dignity restored. And dignity restored. As a council, you know what that means. They should be compensated, their dignity should be restored, and government should appear to be contrite. Yeah.
General, I humbly beg to inquire. These might be, some are saying these were personal actions, individual actions. Can you help?
You know what I call them? I describe them as what? Tonton Makut.
Okay, so now my request is, we know some of these people individually. We know their faces. We have profiled. Would you help us as the Minister of Internal Affairs to bring these people to answer for their mistakes that they did, so that the media and the public can see them?
No, address them with the agency, the department responsible for them. If you know them, address each individual with the department responsible for him.
Now you're the overall boss. We're making to punish them.
No, I'm not the overall boss. I don't run. I am Minister of Internal Affairs. I'm not the Minister for Security. I'm not the Minister for Defense. I'm not the Minister for Agriculture. I'm not the Minister for... No, I'm Minister. So address the issues of farmers with the Minister of Agriculture, the soldiers with the Minister of Defense, with the internal security with the Minister of Security, with the Minister, the Attorney General. In any case, the Attorney General takes responsibility for all the actions of government agencies. New Vision, what do you have to say?
No, actually,
what is it? What you said your name was who?
I'm Ivan Seveni.
Eh?
Ivan Seveni.
Seven. Huh? Seven, not 8. Seven.
My point was actually mention, because I wanted to know about the journey to compensation, because you say you actually love to see journalists.
Reparation. I would love to see reparation. Yeah. Yes, madam.
However, ever since the incident, some of the media houses have been isolated or banned from covering government events. And I would like to know how, because
Who banned them?
journalists from NTV, Daily Monitor.
No, but that one you address with what you want is the minister responsible for the press.
In line with that, Minister, ever since the incident happened, amongst journalist reporters, some were saying that they should boycott police conferences, and it happened actually. So they were waiting, they were eagerly waiting for an apology from the police. Should we say since...
To the police beat journalists?
No, from police, because everyone says police, and ever since that...
No, madam, let's put things, right things here, correct. You are the right to withdraw your services from us is guaranteed by the Constitution. If you want to withdraw your labor and your services, you are free to do so. Nobody can compel you to cover, or that wouldn't encourage it. but I can't compel you to cover our activities. Two, I have not heard of anybody complaining the police assaulted journalists. So you are now reciting rosary in a bar.
So what is happening amongst crime reporters, because they are...
I just say the police is innocent. You are punishing the wrong person. I will not, if there are incidents of the police harassing journalists, report them to me, bring them to me.
That is police.
Eh?
Jat.
No, that's Jat. It's joint. You know, task force. Yes.
And it is.
Listen, that's joint anti-terrorism task force. Was there terrorism in Kawempe?
No.
So.
But there was Jat.
was on ground.
Yeah.
There was Jat.
I don't know who was there. I've told you that I don't know who those fellows were. If they were Jat, I would have said this is Jat. Yeah. Jat does not cover their faces. Listen, Jat does not cover their faces. I can also write police when I'm not police. Have you heard of misrepresentation? Does it? Have you ever heard of impersonation? Was it there before you were born? Is it there now? Will it be there when you are dead? So, whoever was there was impersonating Jat.
Minister, just one question. Who covers the face?
Yeah?
Who covers the face?
Who does what?
If Jat doesn't cover the face, police doesn't cover them. Who masks the face?
I don't know. You go and ask the Attorney General.
General, as a way of...
Because these people were illegal. They were doing things illegally. That's why they covered their faces. That's why we give operational officers a number and a name tag.
Now,
Do you think this is stupid that they put Otafiire and service number?
no.
If I was still in the army, they would put 014 and Otafiire again. You will do this, especially with the police. You have a service number and your name, so that you are answerable for your activities. Now, when you cover your face, then everything else becomes a problem.
That is correct. That's what's the problem. But unfortunately, that's not what is happening on ground. And these people, you're saying you don't know them. They are moving in a government vehicle.
What have I told you? I've said it won't happen again.
Now you admit that it happened. But it will not happen again.
It's not that I admit, I know it happened. You see, Some of you are used to dealing with leaders who can't tell right from wrong. You know, and I'm not one of them. I know the rights of the citizens and the obligations of the citizens. I distinguish them. When you are doing public order management, you should know your limits. And those limits should be within the law. You know, I know the police are allowed to, in case of certain circumstances, to use reasonable force. Reasonable force. Was what they were doing reasonable? You know, was there a need? A journalist with the camera, what crime have they committed? A journalist with his or her camera. They have not stood on the road and blocked traffic. They are just there correcting their rumors. The journalists are there correcting their rumors and scandals. If you don't want them to write about you, don't commit scandal. Don't be caught on the wrong foot. The journalists will present as it is. The only problem I have with the new vision is the arm twist.
General, as a way of moving forward, first we thank you for your guidance and we have clarity on most of the things. Now, we will need to leave this meeting with some action points to know what is not happening. You have said this.
No, let me talk to my colleagues. We'll put up a team, yes. Then we'll get back to you. Then we shall agree. Yeah. Then we shall agree and agree on a modus operandi and a modus vivendi. How we shall react? We follow it up with me, please.
Can we give it some time frame?
Some what?
Some time frame to do this before we are going to make. Can we have some time frame? Maybe
how much are you going to pay me for that? Now you want to do my job? No, let me talk to my colleagues.
On the lighter note, General, as we conclude, allow me to say on behalf of all the journalists in this country that every time you are before a camera, we have guaranteed a very good soundbite. And there can never be a dull moment in an interview or conducted with you. We don't take that for granted.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. And I'm glad, I'm very pleased with this positive attitude. Yeah, I shall tell you. You can't clap with one hand. You need two hands to do what? Thank you very much.